Hello and welcome to the tutorial on PVsell graphs that are available from the dashboard. By clicking on any of these blue links here, you'll open up a graph that conveys information about your system. First one we're going to have a look at is the projected electricity prices compared to the effective cost of solar electricity. These show your starting electricity price compared to your effective cost of solar generation. You can see that the electricity price increases over time, whereas your effective cost of solar generation stays flat. That's because you're buying 25-30 years worth of energy up front, and that effective solar cost is the upfront cost of the solar system divided by that total volume of energy adjusted for a discount factor. In comparison, your current electricity cost is displayed in a comparison to any future electricity price rises, and as a result you can see that solar makes a good investment sense on that basis, that it produces cheaper electricity than you buy from the grid already. The next chart we're going to have a look at is the electricity bill compared to your solar earnings. This shows an estimate of your electricity bill based on your tariff and your consumption level and any standing charges that may apply versus the revenue or savings that you may get from your solar power system in the first year. Now, of course, your electricity bill will increase and your revenue will also increase over time, so those figures will change, but this is what the situation is in year one. We can have a look at the annual revenue from a solar power system. Here we've got one that's seen in year where it's installed in Queensland, and so we can see that the effect of the end of the feed-in tariff is to slightly reduce the amount of revenue in a year, after which time, because most of the production is consumed on site, we're seeing that the revenue increases over time. That revenue graph will also take into account any leasing or loans that may apply. You'll see the effective revenue or cash balance from the solar system. Your cumulative revenue is a similar graph, except it shows that cumulative effect over time. You can see that your initial system price is where you start off at paying $7,000, and within a few years you've reached the point of true payback. And you can see your cumulative revenue grows here to the point where you're $33,000 in the black from your investment of $7,000. So essentially you've made $40,000 over that 25-year system life. You can also show your revenue in comparison to what your electricity expenditure is. So whereas before we were just looking at the solar system's revenue in isolation, here we're comparing it to what their electricity expenditure will be. So you can see that the blue line shows their cumulative electricity spend over the 25 years, and even for a small residential location there, we're looking at $142,000 worth of electricity expenditure. Instead, you might like to bring some of that forward and buy a solar power system, which will mean that you're spending far less over that lifetime. And the true payback period is the point at which they cross. A similar graph, but shown at the end of the system life instead of over each year of the system life, is the net financial position over system lifetime graph, and that just shows those same information at the end of the system lifetime. And that information, of course, accounts for your solar investment as well. We can see here the electricity consumption, generation and export graph, and this essentially shows you your solar generation curve and your load profile here in blue versus what is exported here in yellow and the resultant amount of import here in red. You can adjust that for any day of the year between 1 and 365. The default that comes up is always the day of peak output, making sure that looks like it's a 3 kilowatt system. Here we see we don't quite get to 3 kilowatts worth of output, but it's more of a sunny, standard sunny day, and you can see those similar figures there. The final graph we have here is the load profile, and this is the load profile that's being used to calculate your consumption. Depending on the load profile you're using, you'll see a different line for each month of the year, and the average consumption in terms of kilowatts in each period, each hour of the day.